Okay, so I tried to do another live stream with the different devices again right now. So I'm trying to use my MacBook Air directly, even though basically I am actually use this devices only for live streaming through into Twitch, and it seems to be pretty laggy as well. So I just don't get it. So when I try to see the Animoji, it seems to be pretty late than my own voices. So that's pretty weird, but hopefully it's still basically a little bit better when it comes to the result. So yeah, not sure whether there is some delay or not, because yeah, if you talk about the stream, for some reason in the broadcasting dashboard there are some sort of delay, which basically kind of like relay on the live TV show or something like that. So basically when you try to stop the stream, so it's not immediately stop the live notification, or I don't know, badges that's basically consider each of the video is actually live, still live footage or not. So yeah, there's some sort of delay until 1 minute, I guess. I'm not sure. So yeah, it seems to be this devices is obviously the slowest devices that I basically use for live streaming, but to be honest, I'm still basically enough to use this, especially when I try to live stream into the Twitch through the HDMI video capture, which is for some reason it seems to be pretty smooth. But when I try to use Zoom for recording purposes, it seems to be a little bit laggy, or maybe it's actually the same. I'm not sure, because yeah, I've been tried to test several things in this laptop as well. So I used to live stream my PlayStation 4 into Remote Play application in the Mac, and it's actually even worse if you talk about directly play into the recording footage itself. So there is so many delay, and it's really inappropriate to play a first person or even a competitive game such as online Counter Strike or Point Blank, or yeah, it's definitely a very disadvantage to you, while other players would probably have a very fast internet and also refresh rate on their monitor, which is basically make the game very smooth. So yeah, that's the reason why, and because the HDMI video capture is actually only limited to 30 FPS on the monitoring footage point of view. So I'm not sure, even though the input can basically retrieve 60 FPS, but it's basically doesn't really matters, because the one that basically matters is actually the output, and it's actually the one that basically makes some price differences in the HDMI video capture. So, and since I actually have another dedicated app that basically makes the AirPlay directly without using the Mac, obviously, because even though I'm actually using the Mac, but I think my Mac OS is still pretty much old, so it's basically not supported to AirPlay directly into the Mac yet. Like when I try able to do it on the MacBook Pro, even though it's basically unnecessary since it's turned the whole screen into the iPhone screen. So that's the reason why I basically use this other application rather than the Zoom as well, because yeah, I just have a little bit difference in terms of the border, so you can actually see the borderline of the video of the Animoji footage. So that's the reason why it's basically a little bit different rather than the one that basically appear on the Zoom, which is just full borderless design. So yeah, it's basically pretty unnecessary, but it's basically pretty interesting as well, especially when you try to AirPlay several Apple devices, which will represent its original aspect ratio or even the design of the display itself. So yeah, it's basically like a simulator, but simulator that directly goes from real devices. And yeah, I'm actually having some free time previously, intentional extended free time, because later in the afternoon I will also have another free time, even though it's basically supposed to be not very long. So, and tomorrow I will also have another one as well, which is basically pretty long, maybe like yesterday free time. I'm not sure, because yesterday I've basically already used pretty long free time for recording a karaoke, good behavior, or even this kind of live stream, which basically failed several times as well. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm decided to use the MacBook Air, which is basically pretty convenient because it's always try to be used in the front of me, so I don't have to do any kind of preparation. But for karaoke, it's definitely still need to do some work because I need to use the USB sound card in order to record the audio song from my other iPhone. So yeah, that's pretty annoying, but that's the only thing that's basically better, I guess. I'm not sure whether it's actually can be done with directly in the PC itself, because yeah, OBS obviously have those kind of feature to record your desktop audio probably. And yeah, it's still pretty much 6 minutes, and I'm not sure how long that I will basically try to stream, because yeah, I've just finished my meetings and I'm actually wanted to do the live stream before I was going into the meeting 1 hours ago, but eventually I got some work that needs to be done as soon as possible, so I definitely need to prioritize on it first before doing this unnecessary live stream. But yeah, but the meeting seems to be running a little bit earlier, so it's basically finished earlier, so I can directly goes into the live stream, even though yeah, I'm still pretty lazy to prepare using other devices in order to do the live stream, because I have actually tested and it's basically smooth, and I think it will be the main device obviously for my trip, because I obviously will not brought any other devices, too many devices into my trip, because it will be very heavy for me as well to carry. So yeah, that's the reason why. And yeah, basically I'm actually wanted to talk about my trip, but I don't know, maybe. So it was actually the same destination trip that I have do more than 6 years ago. And if you talk about 6 years time gap, it is actually pretty unique, especially here in Indonesia, because I was thinking that the 6 years is actually the time that you basically spend in the elementary school, and I'm not sure whether the primary school in other countries is actually the same or not. But yeah, for Indonesia, the after you are basically graduated from optional kindergarten, you actually goes into the elementary school or maybe primary school from other countries. So yeah, after that you will goes into the high school, which is separated into two level, which is the junior high school and senior high school. I think some of the other countries is also implement that way, but there are some additional step or year that basically use in order to prepare several the college life, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so for the so that's the reason why the first junior level of the high school is actually 3 years, and the second level, the senior high school, is also 3 years. So combining it is actually 6 years as well, the same exact time that you are actually span on the elementary or primary school. So yeah, even though basically there are some sort of additional way in order to make it faster. So basically, it can be only 2 years on each of the high school, and from the elementary school, it can only be 5 years. That we usually call it as acceleration. So yeah, it's like a cars. So yeah, 6 years is basically pretty long time, but yeah, I just don't realize that basically there are so many things that basically already changed for those time, because yeah, maybe it pretty much like in the 5 years how you basically see yourself in 5 years, but yeah, I don't really, 5 years is not really, it's only good numbers because it was kind of like half of a decade, but yeah, I don't really see, maybe most of the experience will probably like overlapping during those 5 years, but the 6 years is basically better in terms of seeing the differences on each of the people, because yeah, 6 years ago I'm actually still in my bachelor's degree college, not even think about working yet, because I'm still pretty confident with my abilities, but it turns out that it was not as easy as I thought. So that's the reason why I'm just trying to live myself and try to be grateful of it and try to be better in other things, because yeah, I just not really confident with my own specialties that I basically do on my main job. So yeah, that's the reason why. And basically 6 years, everything that basically around me also have been changed as well, because like the setup that I basically use right now 6 years ago is definitely not existed yet. I'm still using iPhone 6 probably, which is pretty crazy. And even if you talk about the release of the iPhone 11 is actually around 2019, I guess, which is already 4 years ago. So that's the reason why it's basically already an old iPhone. But yeah, consider 6 years ago, I'm actually still using the 2014 iPhone, which is yeah, even it's almost 10 years, but it's actually still working. But I never really tried to turn it on again because the battery is actually already tried to change several times, so probably I'm not sure whether it's still able to be turned on unless I need to change the battery first, perhaps, which is basically pretty hard because yeah, it was actually glued into the iPhone body, so you need several steps using heat gun or some kind of heat power in order to remove the glue of the battery. So for this stream is obviously should work without I actually need to open the dashboard, the streaming dashboard first, because I'm actually use the connection directly from the OBS into the YouTube, so it's more like the one that I basically use on my MacBook Pro as well, because yeah, my MacBook Air is obviously my main laptop, so it's basically have more accounts that can be connected directly, unlike my dream gadget, which basically use the stream key. So that's the reason why I need to open the dashboard first in order to make the stream appear on my channel. So that's pretty weird. And yeah, what else that I want to talk about? So yeah, the 6 years ago I'm still, so I'm actually already got my MacBook Air obviously, but during that time I'm still not really use this laptop because I'm already have some Windows laptop that I try to install Mac OS inside it using Hackintosh, but it turns out in 1 years earlier than 2017, so probably on 2016, I mistakenly tried to upgrade the Mac OS, which is basically remove the partition of my bootcamp as well, which I just don't understand. So that's the reason why at the moment that I basically lost all of the data on the second partition of those Windows laptop. I eventually tried to remove it and change into using the mSATA SSD, which is only have 32 gigabytes of storage. It was very small, but I always try to plug it in my 128 gigabyte or 256 of SanDisk Cruiser Ultra Fit, which is a very small flash drive with the size of a dongle, of a mouse dongle or wireless keyboard dongle or any kind of that stuff. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm still able to live with it until I finally just wanted to develop an application, because obviously at the time that I tried to install a new storage into my old Windows laptop, I'm actually trying to install the Ubuntu, because yeah, it's just pretty convenient to develop an application using Ubuntu. So that's the reason why I'm still pretty convenient to use it. But yeah, right now I'm already trying to use Mac instead, which is basically more official, perhaps. I'm not sure what's the appropriate word to describe it. So yeah, it's already 17 minutes of live stream, and basically I'm already started to get exhausted holding the phones all the time. But yeah, I'm not sure whether this is gonna be the longest stream that I made, but yeah, I'm pretty confident that it should be able to appear on my channel, because I don't actually see it yet. So yeah, because if it does not appear on the channel, then this 17 minutes will be waste, like yesterday in the previous stream, up to 16 minutes that I just don't know where the stream is gonna be, because yeah, I just don't get it why the OBS seems to be not consider the stream key to be invalid when we are no longer open the stream dashboard on the YouTube. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm just trying to talk about. That's the reason why all the time, because yeah, I just don't know what kind of things that I basically wanted to talk about, because it's just suddenly appear on my mind whenever I want to talk about something. But yeah, it's just not as easy as it seems, because for some reason you basically need to be focused on your own time, because the time is basically keeps running when you're trying to do the stream, and the stream seems to be cannot be paused, unlike the recording, which basically pretty convenient. But yeah, I just don't